Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello, and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. We are in for a fabulously good time with a woman that I hold the highest esteem. She's a Fort Worth native, businesswoman, and a vivacious advocate for the community. Wife, mother, grandmother, and drumroll please, the 44th mayor of the city of Fort Worth. So please help me welcome Mayor Betsy Price of Fort Worth, Texas. Hello, Betsy.
Hello, Amber. After that introduction, I should just hang up. You said enough.
Oh, no, don't do that. Oh, my heart was beating. I was so excited to visit with you.
It's great to be with you and great to have your listeners with us.
Yes, thank you. So, Betsy, it's a pleasure to have you here with us, of course, as you share your Silhouette of Success story. So thank you once again for taking time to visit.
I'm delighted to do it, and I'm delighted always to share my story, and maybe somebody will learn a little bit of something. I don't know if I inspire people or not, but you can always try.
Well, you inspire me and so many around, so I just have no doubt about this. So let's help illustrate the early shaping of your Silhouette of Success by maybe sharing a little bit of your background.
Sure. You know, I grew up, as you said, here in Fort Worth, and I'm not going to go back to when I was born like people do sometimes. But I grew up here. My father was a small business owner. My mother, there were four of us, stayed home, and she was the community volunteer / PTA mom, queen, you know, did a little bit of everything. And my parents both believed in service to your community or service to your church or no matter where you chose. And so they taught all of us to take your talents, whether it's your looks or your personality or your brains or your money or whatever, and give something back to the community where you live. And that stuck with me, and I've been volunteering and trying to return some type of service to the community for a long time. And I had a small business of my own and then was Tarrant County's tax assessor and now mayor. And in between, I've been married nearly 49 years and raised 3 kids and now 6 grandkids.
So many blessings.
Amen. Lots of blessings.
Yeah, and and you find time to help everybody else, too.
Well, that's what it's all about. You know, you really do have to give something back. And
yeah.
I'm a real people person, and I will tell you, COVID's been incredibly hard on me because I can't be out all day, every day, and half the nights visiting with people and finding out what they need, what the city can do to help them. But we've learned to accommodate around that. But you just got to give something back. You got to take care of your family, but you got to give something back where you live if you expect to enjoy your community.
Yeah, it's been an adventure to say the least.
Yeah, that's
yes.
An understatement.
Yes. Well, it's wonderful to hear you reflect back on your parents because, interestingly, that was one of my questions that I was going to visit with you about because you are such a strong advocate for the community. Of course, in your role, but I knew that before you had your roles here. And so that was the question of where did that drive or that passion for the purposeful service orientation come from? And,
it came from my parents. I mean, they literally were just adamant about it. And I remember my mother taught vacation Bible school Sunday school, and I remember going with her and watching that happen. She was room mother, and, my dad was involved in the Masons and the Elks Club and all kinds of things, and it was just expected of you that you would give something back, and all of us kids have done that. I'm the only one that was crazy enough to get involved in politics. In politics, the day I become a politician, I'm going to go home. It's really public service. It's really about the service and about helping public.
There is a definition there, isn't there?
There is a definition. Mm-hmm. There's a big difference. I mean, politicians tend to make it, and I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but they tend to make it more lifetime and more about them, and that's not what I'm about. And I really think for this country's sake, we'd all be better served if we had people in office who aren't concerned about their next election, who don't care if you send them home, but who are there to do the right thing. I've never cared if I win my next election or not. I'm going to make the same decisions if it's right, regardless of the elections.
I would say, what would we call that, ego?
Yeah. I think so.
That's right. You put others in front. And again, it's so apparent in what you do, and so many blessings that you provide by having that mindset and that ethic, moral compass to do that. So is there someone that you would credit influencing you the most as you embarked on your career path?
Probably the most influence on my life was my mother, because my mother was really a woman ahead of her time. She was incredibly smart. She was a member of Mensa, but stayed at home. But when all of us were gone, she decided to go to work for my dad and ended up really helping him virtually run the business after having stayed home for 35 or 40 years. And she just shaped that. But in my public service side, there's been a lot of different people that shaped it, from Kay Granger to Kay Bailey Hutchinson to Mayor Tom Vandergriff, who was then the county judge when I was elected tax assessor, Commissioner J.D. Johnson. Everyone has a little something different. People will say, who are your role models or who mentored you? And I think most people, your mentors, whether you realize it or not, there's not going to be any one person, but they're going to be different people that you take different things from. And at different points in your life, you're following and admiring different people, and you just ought to be learning from them as you go along.
Keep the eyes wide open, right?
Yeah. And you can see where they fall flat on their face, and you can see where they succeed wildly, and you can look at them and go, I'm not going to do that. Or, I think that's the right direction to go.
Yeah.
And it does change. I've had, people that I greatly admired who disappointed me sorely later on, but not at the time I was learning from them.
And those are all lessons, too.
Yeah, they are. We always say we plan and God laughs.
Oh,
and I think that's the big deal. You got to roll with the flow. I mean, I never set out to be in public office. I kind of fell into it, and it just was meant to be, I guess.
Yeah, and we are grateful. So if you were to maybe think back, is there one piece of career advice or wisdom that was shared with you that you have found invaluable, or that it sticks out to you over the course of whatever number of years, or even recent?
Oh, gosh, I guess the guiding principle has always been use your common sense. Listen to every side and make a decision based on your common sense. And to understand, my older sister is a great community volunteer and a great student of people. And she said early on, you have to know you can't make everybody happy all the time. So you have to take your common sense and figure out how do you balance that and what's the best decision for the city, or when I was tax assessor for the tax office. And the same holds true for your family. You and your husband, or you and your significant other have to make those decisions for your children when they're little.
Yeah.
When they get older, my kids seem to think they should make decisions for me some days. I keep telling them, not yet. Not yet. They like to give me a hard time.
Oh, goodness. Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Student of people, I like that very much so. Common sense, of course.
I mean, and the other thing that women miss so often, I'm sure you know this, but I'm known for being fairly direct. I don't believe that you should just beat around the bushes. I think if you have a strong opinion or you have a feeling about something, you should tell them. You should let it be known, or you should ask the right questions until you do come up with your opinion. I'm just not one to mince a lot of words. I think life's short, and we waste a lot of time humming and hawing, and we don't have to do that.
Doing that little tap dance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not a tap dancer. I'm more of a straightforward shooter.
That's right. That's what those boots are for.
That's right. I put those boots on your backside if you're not careful.
You know it. So I guess it parlays perfectly into this as a strong female in such a prominent role, how do you find support for you? Where do you turn to? Because sometimes that can be a little tricky.
It can. I think that most women tend to not take real good care of themselves and tend to not take the time for themselves. And at different points in my life, I've been guilty of that also, but I've done better the last few years. And where I find strength, obviously, is in my faith and then in my husband and our relationship, certainly my family. But I've got several very strong friends that I've had for a long time, for 40 or 50 years, that I can rely on to say, you show up on TV and they'll call you and say, you look fabulous. That's exactly the right thing, and your words were perfect. Or they'll call you and say, you look like hell today. You really need to go home and rest. Or, no, Betsy, you're way off base. Let's reconsider that. And I think that your good friends who are honest enough to tell you things can really help you, can really help anchor you and anchor how you respond to things. And I lost one of my best friends this year, who was the first one to always call and say, I hope you have a great day, or send me a text, or I know it's difficult what you're dealing with, and my prayers are with you. And it's kind of rocked my boat this year to not have somebody outside my family that really, and she's also the one who'd say, I don't like your hair that way. Or your makeup was wrong in that shoot. And you just brutally honest, and it's been tough. I'll tell you, when you learn to rely on somebody, it's tough when you lose them.
Yes, I can see how that would be.
Somebody that's real honest with you.
Because it's brave for them to do that as well, especially for strong females. To be able to also have that gift, to be able to have the courage to stand up and tell that
and I think
the candid, raw truth.
The candid, raw truth that you don't always want to hear, but you need to.
That's right.
I've never worried about I guess I was fortunate to grow up in a family that it didn't matter whether you were a guy or a girl. You were expected to do what you could, and I could do as much as my brother. I could do as much or more than my sisters if I wanted to, and there were no limitations. So for me, I've never seen being a female as a limitation. Clearly, at my age, I've encountered discrimination. And clearly, I spend the bulk of my days dealing with men, because Fort Worth's the 13th largest city in the nation right now. And for years, now there are 3 of us in the top 20 women, but for a long time it was just me in the top women mayors in the top 20 cities. So it's mostly men. So you just learn to deal with it. You just act like them, only better.
Right. A little classier. It's interesting, that was something I was going to have you maybe touch on, so it's perfect timing again. In the role, your leadership role among your peers, mostly men, you said it right there, I had it here, and how would you share some advice for maybe some women that might be in a similar dynamic? How have you coped with that?
Somebody asked me that the other day. I said, I really don't know, because I don't think about it that way. I just don't think about being the only woman in the room. I think about where my position is on things, what it is we came to discuss, and not that the good old boys are going to do this or that. And occasionally I'm not above smiling and giving them the kill them with kindness mama version. I told some guys that I said, don't make me mama you to death. Let's get this straight and let's do it. And they all just started laughing and said, okay, now let's get down to brass tacks and figure this out.
Clear the airwaves, all right? Let's focus on the business at hand.
Yeah. And someday I hope for my daughter and granddaughter that we're not having this conversation, that it's really just about who's the best candidate or who's the best leader in the room, not whether they're male or female.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? That is what we are vying for all the time. Yep. That's why we're here together. Yeah.
And men and women just lead differently. Men tend to be more focused on more task-oriented. One task at a time. It's heel to toe, heel to toe. Women tend to be more horizontal, I guess, for lack of a better term. They tend to have everything kind of spread out, and they're working on A, and they may also be working on F and X at the same time. Women are just better multitaskers. And everybody's got to bring something to the table. And you just look at the crew and think, okay, now who's going to deliver this piece and this piece and this piece? And it's all meshes together if you let it.
Yeah, you got to be quick to analyze what's going on in the situation, right? Analyze who the players are and how,
And I think most women are better at that.
Mm-hmm.
I think men tend to sit back and analyze it a little bit. And most women that I know, women leaders anyway, tend to very quickly analyze the situation and make a decision and know who's on first and what's on second.
That's right. You've got to know how to play once you get there.
And you learn that, I guess, as a woman, as a mother, a wife, you learn to be more multitask-oriented and more focused.
Because would you perhaps agree that the boardroom table is probably not much different than maybe sometimes the cafeteria table?
Yeah, I don't think the boardroom table is much different from the dinner table if you've got a family, if you want to know the truth. It's definitely not much different from the cafeteria table. It's not. It's just got a locked door, if you want, a locked bathroom door, as they used to say.
Well, if you were to be able to perhaps pick a topic or a question most asked by women that look up to you, what would that be? Do you get the same questions or maybe a certain topic that your approach that they ask you?
Probably, first topic people ask me, men and women, is, have you lost your mind? Why on earth do you do this job? Because it sure isn't for the money. And that's an easy one to answer for me because it's about service. But I think most women ask, more often than not, particularly a little bit younger women, is how do you balance your personal life and still do the job that you need to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you just have to be very hard-nosed about your private time. My staff knows nothing gets in the way. On my calendar, every single day, there's a time for my exercise, a minimum of an hour and sometimes an hour and a half, because that's what keeps me going. It's what keeps my mind sharp. It's what keeps my body moving and doing what I want to. And then Friday night's date night. Nothing gets in the way of date night with my husband and I. And then Sunday's family time. And sometimes we take our family to other churches or to functions together, but it's family time. I think you just have to really say, I'm giving myself the chance to not work and to take this time on this day, or this hour out of every day. And you got to be real hard-nosed about it. And you have to say, no, I won't do that because that's my time. And most women, that's the most common question is, how do I balance this? And I'll admit, I struggled with it for a long time, but I got better years ago, and I just stick with it now.
It's a skill to develop. It truly is because, I don't know, is there balance? I've not found balance, but you're right. You find where you reach a point where there, as you say, hard nose or, lines in the sand. You've got to put those boundaries.
You do.
Give yourself permission.
You just have to give yourself permission. And the other question that people ask me is, did you always want to be in politics? And is this a path you've always followed? And I say, no. I don't think most of us should be married to any single path. You may set out to do one thing, and you may end up somewhere 180 degrees away from that and still loving everything you want it to do. I just think you have got to be open and flexible to change.
Yeah.
You can't be stiff and rigid or you'll drive yourself crazy and everybody around you. Change is not a bad thing. Change is good in most cases. Change just for the sake of change is not good, but change that's beneficial is good. It keeps you fresh. It keeps you learning new things.
Agree.
And surround yourself by people that aren't like you. Get different age groups, get different, men and women, just different people, different races, because you can learn something from everybody.
I love that.
And it's real stale when you walk in a boardroom or you walk in the mayor's office and everybody there is going, yes, yes. And I can't tell you the number of people I've said, if you tell me yes once more, you're out of here. I don't want to be told yes all the time. I want to be told the reality.
Again, rip
now,
that Band-Aid off.
I always agree with that. My husband will say, yes, she likes to be told yes. But that's a different story.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation,
that's a
right?
whole other conversation.
I don't know. Is that wine bottle open yet? So
should be.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, again, it's such a treat, and so I want to continue to respect the time that you've been so generous to give here. But looking at the contours of your silhouette, in addition to everything that you do, and you talked a little bit about having that date night and that private time, your exercise time, what else feeds your soul? I mean, do you have maybe favorite authors, or is there anybody that you follow, spiritual leader, or?
We go to University Christian Church, which is the Disciples of Christ Church, and we always had a strong faith, and I try to live with that. I'm a voracious reader. I can't tell you that I have any one author that I follow specifically, but I love to read anything. Give me a good book, and I'll be happy for the day. For me, it's kind of a wide variety of things. The thing that interests me most is health, community health, and just people's health in general, and the fact that Americans as a whole don't take very good care of ourselves, and communities as a whole don't focus on public health much. And I think we need to do a better job of that.
Yeah.
And I read everything I can get my hands on about health. I don't want to be a doctor, but I think that because we've raised a whole generation on fast food and it's not healthy and they don't learn well and they're not in school, that's one thing that we absolutely have to change for these kids and where we're going. And if you're not reading, you're not growing. You're not learning.
And you're not feeding your mind and your heart and
you're not
creativity.
Everything.
Right.
And, if there's nothing on TV, then turn it off.
I love that. And one of my favorite photos, I can't remember where I saw it, but their faces, you were entertaining them.
Yeah.
Whatever you were reading, it was amazing. All their little sweet faces, they all had different expressions of just pure joy. They were just having a great time. You were smiling too, but it was
nothing
so
I like better than to read the kids. I try to read the kids. Before COVID, I tried to read the kids 2 or 3 times a month. Now it's a little different, but it's just one of my favorite things to do is to read the kids. And the world is just right in front of them, and they just believe everything, and they want to believe, and they love everything, and they'll laugh at everything.
Yeah.
They just make you feel so positive and hopeful. And books are, we always say reading is dreaming with your eyes wide open.
Yeah, love that.
And it's true.
Yeah, it's almost like a selfish energy, taking theirs, but
taking their energy and learning from it. Yeah.
Right. I'm feeling, So, Betsy, may I share a compliment with you as we wrap up here?
Sure.
So, I will forever remember our first encounter, and we were at the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame for a Women's During Business event, and it was probably one of the first that I went to. And I was so nervous. I invited my mom, and when I saw you, I was so excited to meet you. And I tell you what, it was the first time I ever really spoke with you, face to face, and you just made such an impression, a tender imprint on my heart. And I am just so forever grateful just for that one encounter.
Oh, you're so sweet.
It just really, and with my mom there, and she's obviously, just a big fan, and so I just wanted to share that with you because I know you're out there all the time and meeting so many amazing people, but please just know that you forever made that tender imprint in my heart. So
thank you for sharing that. We do hear a lot of good positive things, but we hear so many that are negative that it is very nice to hear some positives like that. That, you don't do this for the accolades, but it is nice to occasionally hear somebody say, yeah, you helped make an imprint on my life.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, thank you. So, all right, my lady, as we wrap up here, it has been, again, a complete delight and honor visiting with you. And in keeping the intentional inspiration promise to our audience. Is there a one piece of key go-to advice that you'd want to share with everybody?
Oh, that's a good question.
Pick from
just be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody try to change you and shape you something different. God's got a plan for you, and his plan's always going to be right.
And where can our audience go to maybe connect or follow you on any socials or support you in your continued success? Anything that you'd want to find you?
Follow us on all the social. It's Mayor Betsy at FortWorthTexas.gov, and it's Mayor Betsy on Facebook, and Betsy.Price, I guess, is the other one. Just put in Crazy Lady and you'll find me.
Awesome, ladies. So, well, Betsy, thank you once again for sharing your silhouette of success with us. It has been a tremendous honor and pleasure, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too, Amber, and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out and join us for all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. Amber would love to hear from you, and you can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or head over to amberweitzer.com. Let's connect. Help us all shine and leave us a review too. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at amberweitzer.com. We are honored, humbled, and full of joy that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success.